I'll establish two things at the beginning of this video. Firstly, one game is one game. Everything can change by the time Game 2 comes and goes, and by the time Game 3, 4, and 5 end up finishing, we could have an entirely different perspective. I also wanted to say another thing. I am not confident at all in making videos like these, but sometimes you just gotta go with the flow, man. You just gotta ride the wave, see what's going on, and that is exactly what we had seen yesterday in Game 1 of the Oilers versus the Kings. Now, this isn't a game review video per se. It's just going to be talking about the Oilers because I feel like when it comes to this Stanley Cup playoff run, after what we had seen from all the other Game 1s and what we had seen out of Edmonton in particular, I feel like we should be fearing the Oilers a lot more than maybe some of us were before the playoffs began. Now, I know that we had a few people in the comment section of our playoff predictions video and elsewhere in social media that were saying, okay, yeah, the Oilers have the best chance of a Canadian team to win the Cup this year. They might have an easy path to the Cup. I know Ryan Whitney on Spit and Chicklets was saying this is like the easiest Oilers opportunity in years at being able to win the Stanley Cup. But if you've been following the channel, you would have seen that I doubted it. Not necessarily because I don't believe in the Oilers, but because I believe in my Vancouver Canucks more. And that was a very particular trait that I saw a bunch of people, especially on this side of the country, saying as well. But after that Game 1, as well as what happened to Thatcher Demko in Game 1 of the Canucks and Predators series, I feel like there's a lot more of a chance that we actually do see Edmonton in a third-round spot, for example, than we thought they had a chance to get to before the playoffs. So, what happened yesterday, Edmonton versus LA, it was a bad game for the Kings. They lost 7-4, and the Edmonton Oilers just took to town what it was that they have been building up this entire season. They scratched so many of their top players in the final game of the year, and for good reason, too. They wanted to rest everybody up. They got that rest, and now in Game 1, you had Connor McDavid, who scored himself 5 assists on the night. Evan Bouchard got 4 assists, and Zach Hyman got 4 points and a hat trick. Not to mention Leon Draisaitl got a goal and an assist, Adam Henrique a goal and an assist. Henrique scored his first playoff goal in over a decade, which is very outrageous to think about. His last goal scored in the postseason was a part of the New Jersey Devils team in 2012 in the Stanley Cup Finals against LA. 12 years, the time between Adam Henrique's last playoff goal and the playoff goal from earlier yesterday. So it was a pretty historic night, and then all the records that are coming out here for Connor McDavid. I mean, that was the first 5-assist playoff game since 1998, before the turn of the millennium. It's almost like the 100 assists on the season wasn't a fluke. You also had yourselves this stat posted by the NHL, that in their first 50 career playoff games, McDavid and Draisaitl are only trailing Gretzky and Lemieux. Now, sure, the gap is pretty wide. I mean, Gretzky had 104 points in his first 50 playoff games, Lemieux 101, McDavid and Draisaitl have 80 and 79, but still, I mean, where's the number 5 guy? They're literally third and fourth here, so McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, these guys are still producing points. Evan Bouchard has been doing some incredible things as well. And I get it, you know, the Kings scored 4 goals. Normally, when you score 4 goals, you probably win the hockey game. But circumstantially, with the way the ties were going, the Oilers won this game nice and early because they did not give LA much opportunity to claw back into the game. Sure, there were a few moments where the Kings started to make things interesting, and there was a 2-goal deficit in the third period, but it was too little too late. The game was won by Edmonton pretty much by the start of the third. So thinking about this series as a whole, I think it's been a pretty common belief that the Oilers are going to beat LA. I mean, I've only seen very few brackets saying that the Kings are going to win. I feel like the Kings are kind of maybe a tad worse than they were the past 2 years, and the Oilers are better, and the Oilers already won those prior 2 matchups in 2022 and 2023, so there really is nothing to gain here for the Oilers in beating LA. It just seems like something that we expect at this point. But what I also wanted to talk about was the next series, because if Edmonton beats LA in round 1, which I'm going to probably say they are, we predicted it in our playoff predictions video, but I think it's a lot more easy to buy into that now after Game 1 is completed. With this in mind, though, let's talk about that round 2 matchup, because in round 2, the Oilers will either play against Nashville or Vancouver. And I've been saying this the entire time. Vancouver has had Edmonton's number. No matter the goalie, no matter the matchup, Vancouver has beaten Edmonton. And the last game that Casey DeSmith, the new Canucks starter, played against the Oilers, he actually did come out on top and he looked pretty good. But at the same time, you cannot doubt the tenacity, the engagement, the vibes of the postseason, because if Vancouver and Edmonton play off in a 7-game series, and it's Casey DeSmith in net for all 7 games, I honestly don't know if Vancouver is going to win that series. Like, I had them beating the Oilers in my bracket, but that was with the assumption that Thatcher Demko would play all the games, so it's a little different now depending on how long Thatcher Demko is going to be out for. We also had ourselves other people jumping on this train of thought as well. This tweet made the rounds earlier this morning on Twitter. Take a look at this. Ahmed tweeted this. Georgiev reeks, Ottinger stinks, Hellebuck is beatable, and Demko is down. The time is now, Edmonton. And you can see 93,000 views, 500 likes, a lot of people replying to this. I mean, the first reply says, the Oilers lost to the Canucks backup twice this season. And then the further reply says, awesome, now go do it against your playoff opponent. And you know, they kind of got a point. I'm not saying the Canucks needed Thatcher Demko to beat Nashville, but I'm just saying it's a lot more difficult to predict now. And with the Oilers being in the position they're at, they've finally got their mojo, their goaltending is okay. I mean, sometimes you just need okay, right? If you're scoring 7 goals a game, you could live with 3 or 4 against the night and you'll probably be fine. It all matters just the wins and the losses at the end of the day, right? But taking a look at the other matchups around the NHL, I mean, even Connor Hellebuck against the Colorado Avalanche didn't look all too great. Georgiev was abysmal. We'll see the rematch happen later tonight in that barn. In Dallas, Vegas, I mean, both of the Vegas goaltenders had been struggling a lot heading into the postseason. Aiden Hale didn't even get the start. It was Logan Thompson. Jake Ottinger was kind of fried a little bit as well in that game 1. So right now, I feel like the only matchup that has a good goaltending battle that we had seen in game 1 at least was Vancouver-Nashville. And with Demko out, I mean, look, if the Predators end up winning, a lot of people are projecting the Oilers to be able to take on Nashville with no problems, maybe in the same way they're taking on LA right now. So if there is an opportunity for a team to take full advantage of Thatcher Demko's departure from the playoffs and potential long-term sustained injury, it might actually be the Oilers. And with how dominating they were in Game 1, it's an easy formula to follow into Game 2. Hey, just do the same thing. Fly high, come in with pace, sustain your high-octane offense, make some nifty passes, take some big one-timers, go to the net if you're Zach Hyman, go to your spot if you're Leon Draisaitl, get those passes, and if you're Connor McDavid, just do what you do. It's an easy formula, and it worked. This version of the Oilers is better than all the other Oilers teams that already beat LA in the first place, so this should be a walk in the park. Should be. But, of course, you know, it's the playoffs. Anything can happen. LA could win 4 straight games and take the series in 5 for all I know, but Game 1 was all we have to go off of right now, and it was pretty good. So at this point, I think we should start to be fearing the Edmonton Oilers for what they have in store, because they do have a lot of potential here. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as to Game 1 of the Oilers and the LA Kings. Do you think that momentum will carry forward into Games 2, 3, 4, and potentially beyond that? Do you think the LA Kings have a chance of winning this series? And if so, what are the odds on that? If the Oilers make it past round 1 and they play off, let's say, either the UC Saros-led Nashville Predators or the Casey DeSmith-led Vancouver Canucks, who are you taking in that series? When Thatcher Demko comes back, is that the biggest wild card of this entire matchup? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.